morning and welcome, Dr. Chakrabarty. What, according to you, is the linkage between business and development?
Well, this is a question asked at a very pertinent moment. Right now, you see there is an agitation going on across Europe and America, where people are arguing that there is a sort of a conflict going on between 1% on the one hand and 99% on the other. In India also, for the last couple of decades, lots of popular movements have sprang up, arguing that development is leading to a loss of livelihood for a lot of people, and business leading to a loss of livelihood to a lot of people. But in reality, if we really look at the process of business, its growth, and the process of development across the world, there is mostly a positive relationship between these two. But the problem that we have been facing since the onset of globalization today is that we have tried to develop a concept of business which is unregulated, unfettered, and where government will have no role to play, where the communities will have no role to play. And that is perhaps creating a vision about business which is not really what we are looking forward to. So, the linkage between business and development has to be seen as being performed through the process, where not just the market, but also the other stakeholders, the states also facilitate the process of business and have some regulatory control on the process of business as well. And if this spirit is followed, then over the years, hundreds of years or thousands of years, business has always contributed to the process of development. Because the development that we talk of today, if you clearly recollect, it started with in the name of industrial revolution, which is the beginning of business, the so called concepts of joint stock companies. So, business and development cannot be delinked, they are very much linked, but often there are problems of the distribution of the fruits of development. For that we require a real regulatory framework, where the state and the people and the community, the consumers, they all can play their roles in making this linkage much more effective.
And how can a course in business further develop this linkage for students?
Yes, as I told you that we have to learn as to how the resources are to be managed. In the context of development, the starting point is the fact that there are resources which are scarce. When we talk about development, development also begins from the same premise. Development is necessary because the distribution of resources are scarce. Scarce resources are not distributed properly across the regions, across people, across communities. So, now that we are talking about business school today, we are talking about reforms in the business curricula. Perhaps now we have to realize that the courses in business curricula should not just concentrate on the enterprises alone. We have to take it to a bigger plane. The meaning, what I mean is that when you are running a state, you are also managing resources, and a business school student should also learn as to how resources can be managed in a process of statecraft, how a state can be run. We are having a problem of corruption today, we are having the problem of lack of information today. So, at every level we find that this is a question of mismanagement, undermanagement. So, you like it or not, management as a science or as an art has now crept into the utilization of all resources that we have around us, and the political resources, the social resources are also coming into the picture of the overall management science. So, from that perspective, the linkage between business and development can make the business schools and their curriculum much more effective, much stronger and much desirable. So, I rather find the business schools to be performing much more wider on a much more wider canvas in the days to come.
And once finished their completing their studies, what should students look forward to?
The students can look forward to everything now. Earlier we were of the idea that, well, you pass out from a business school and you join the corporate house, because you count the profit for the private sector enterprises and you add to their bottom line, raise the prices of their shares and equities, and your job is over. Over the last 10, 15, 20, 25 years, there have been lots of changes in the business environment, because now an enterprise does not count only profit, it also counts the ethical values of the company, the social value of the company. So, the scope of business has expanded, the objective of business has expanded. So, you just do not have to count profits being a manager of resources, you have to count social profits as well. This is one perspective. And the second perspective is much more important, because that is what I find gradually opening up in India today. The fact is that now managers are required to run NGOs, trained managers. Trained managers are required to run the government offices. Now, the bureaucrats are being sent to management schools to pick up the skills of management, so that they can come back and contribute to efficient management of the government offices. So, you require managers to run government offices, you require managers to skillfully run the civil society organizations, you even require managers to run hospitals, you require managers to run educational institutions. So, now what I find that at the end of the day, maybe in coming 2-3 decades, we will have all sorts of designations termed as managers, because ultimately at the end of the day, if you find that all of us are somehow or other managing one scarce resource or other. So, the future for the young youth of the country as well as in the world lies for the managers, because we all will turn managers in the coming days. So, management is a part of our day to day life, and gradually the subject, the curriculum is getting improved to incorporate and to include.
What is Sharda doing for this to happen, all this to happen?
Sharda University is quite conscious about this, and that is why in the coming years we are just not confining ourselves to offering course on general management alone. We are trying to develop domain specific management programs, where students will be trained in some particular area of resource management, say international business or say infrastructure or information technology. These are some of the possible areas, but Sharda University and its School of Business is very conscious about the requirement of the future generation of the country, and we are hopeful that we will be able to contribute meaningfully to the future requirement of the country, not in terms of efficiently running the private sector enterprises, but also running efficiently the government offices, the civil society organizations, and any sort of any sort of organizations which involve the participation of men and women.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your view with us and for being here today, and
thank you,
and for the enriching conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.